Hey y'all, welcome to the 12th episode of the Yarn This podcast. 12 is my favorite number, so I'm super excited to be doing my 12th episode today. I'm Shama, Jessie's Girl 84 on Ravelry and Instagram. You can also find my Yarn This podcast groups on Ravelry and Facebook. I've been very negligent of the group on Ravelry, but that's going to change because I'm ready to really get rolling with this thing. I'm ready to get more viewers, more people in the group, and more talking and getting to know each other. So I want to get that headed in the right direction. If you're a first-time viewer, thanks for giving me a chance. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. My younger son and I were talking the other day. I said, I feel weird calling y'all viewers. It sounds so impersonal. And he said, well, a lot of YouTubers have names for their viewers. He said there's one that he gave as an example. They call theirs lovelies. I was trying to come up with an idea. I don't want to say knitters because I know we have crocheters too. I know that I have people that watch that are part of my family and friends that don't knit or crochet. But if y'all have an idea of a name that I could give y'all, that would be great. I just can't seem to come up with anything right now. So if you've got any ideas, send me a message. Today is Friday, June 10th, 2016. I did my show notes a couple of days ago, and it takes me so long to do my show notes that I didn't record that day. So now I'm a couple of days behind, and things have changed dramatically since I did my show notes. Well, dramatically. I finished something, I started something. Anyway, so I'm going to try not to stumble around too much because I have it all written out so that I know right where everything is. But if I do, bear with me, please. I usually save personal stuff to the end, but I'm just going to start off by saying this week, this Monday on June 6th, marked the 1-year anniversary of the wreck that we had, not we, but my son, my mother, and his girlfriend had last year when my son had his first seizure and the wreck that nearly killed my mother. The good news is that it's been 2 months since my son had a seizure. And my mom and dad came on Monday for Monday Night Knit Night. Mom's getting around very quickly, in my opinion, on her prosthetic. And they're talking about getting rid of her walker and starting her on a cane. And Daddy's going to get her out and start practicing driving like in empty parking lots. So from a year ago when we didn't know if she was going to live and what was going on with Logan to where we are now, things have definitely changed, but oh my goodness, they could be so much worse, and they're so much better than they were this time last year. So many of my knitting friends, and of course family and friends, have been so supportive throughout all this, and I'm thankful for where we are, because it could be worse, and we have learned a lot of valuable lessons through this whole thing. Also, on Wednesday, when I was going to record originally, was my parents' 54th wedding anniversary, so this year they had something to celebrate. And so it's been a really good week overall. Okay, back to what you came here for, the knitting. Today's segments are Puppy Love, my works in progress. Another one, Bites the Dust, my FOs. The final countdown, my future projects. We Are Family, Indie Dyers, Yarn Shops, which I'm going to talk about a few yarn shops from the trip. My knitting friends and the upcoming knitting event. Things that make you go, a new term that you may or may not know as a knitter, and 1 week, just things about my life, mainly about the trip this time. So let's start off with Puppy Love. Okay, like I said at the beginning, things have changed since I did my show notes. I was talking about what I've got on the needles, and I've still got, hang on, sorry, I forgot to grab these. The minion slippers are still not done. I've finished the slipper part, but I need to get the eyes done, and that one won't take me but a few minutes, and then I'll put that on and seam this up, and then I'll do the mittens, and then the minion set will be done, and hopefully I can get a picture of the baby wearing his set when it's all done. So that hasn't really been worked on at all since the trip. I started working on it on the day we drove up to Indiana, and then I got busy on socks, and we were doing so many things that it was easier for me to concentrate on one project. Let's see. So what else am I working on? Oh, okay, yeah. Wow, this is exciting, isn't it? This is the Quaker Yarn Stretcher by Susan Ashcroft, Stitch Nerd Designs. I'm doing this as a sample knit for Kimmery73 on Ravelry, and Kim Marie's Knit Knacks. You've heard me speak of her every episode. Kim is one of my dearest friends in the world. But I'm doing this shawl for her. Sorry, I forgot to turn down my phone and I got a text. I'm just going to turn it off. Let me pause. Okay, sorry about that. Good grief. If it's not my watch talking, it's my phone. So anyway, okay, so I was talking about this shawl. I'm knitting this out of Kimmery's Knit Knacks. It's an 80-10-10 superwash merino. Is it superwash? Or just merino, cashmere, and nylon. And this is DK weight. This is 231 yards, and the colorway is Area 51. Whew, y'all look at that. I think you might be getting a little bit better representation than normal. A little bit. I'm really excited about all these colors, and this little pattern is good for variegated yarns. So I just cast on for this today, and I think it's going to be very simple, and I'm excited. I'm going to work on it tonight and see how far I can get. I guess those are the only two things that are technically on the needles right now. I'm about to cast on for my second Peppermint Mocha sock. This is the yarn. Let's see. Nope. Sorry. This is the yarn from Kimmery's Knit Knacks, and you're not getting a good color. Anyway, I finished the first socket, but I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I'm going to cast on for these tonight and get the second one done. Like I said, I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So since that's all, I'm going to go ahead and go on to Another One Bites the Dust, my finished objects. I have one complete FO and one hoe. So let's just start off with the hoe. It's the first Peppermint Mocha sock. I said I was going to cast on for the second one. Well, here's the first one. I finished this one while I was on the trip, and it's a very neat pattern. Can you see the slip stitches in there? Yeah. And they go diagonally around the sock. Well, it's super simple. If you just watch, it's very intuitive, and you can see where you need to be in the next row. Well, I think I'm not very good with intuitive knitting. I hear people say that all the time, and I think, what does that even mean? It doesn't work for me. So anyway, I went ahead and finished this one and decided to go on to something a little easier that I wouldn't have to look at the pattern or think at all about it. So, let me go ahead and give you the specs on this. This is a Peppermint Mocha sock pattern by CC Almond from her Coffee with CC book. The yarn is Peppermint Mocha by Kimmery's Knit Knacks. It's a 75-25 merino nylon yarn. I used my 2.5 millimeter needles. I did my circs, but I think I've told y'all before, I do my toe up Judy's Magic cast on DPNs because I don't have a long circ, although I'm kind of thinking about ordering one, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. So I have this toe that I do on double points, and it's a little bit fiddly at the beginning, but after a couple of rounds it really isn't a problem at all. And there's a video that Stacy Dawson of the Mustache Podcast put up on YouTube for casting on toe up, Judy's Magic cast on toe up on DPNs. And then when I get to my Fish Lips Kiss heel, I do that on 2 double points as well. I have a friend that does hers on her tiny circs, but it's just easier for me to do it that way, so I'm not dropping stitches. I think I've said that before, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much. But anyway, so I have a complete FO. On May the 4th, I cast on for my Star Wars socks, and I was in the competition for the mustache yarns, and I misread the date, and then I did never go back to check. And I finished too late to help my team out. All I had done was cast on and knit about 4 or 5 rounds maybe of the toe. But I went ahead and started up. As soon as I finished the Peppermint Mocha sock, I started on the C3PO sock, and that's what this is. And I finished it. I worked on it at the Indy 500, and I finished it up the day after the race. It's very simple. This is the Espresso Macchiato sock by CC Almond from the Coffee with CC book. And this yarn is Mustache Yarn, Perfect Sock, Self-Strapping, and this is the Droid colorway, and this one is the R2-D2. I'm sorry, C3PO, what am I saying? C3PO, because it's gold, and it's got some of his colors in it, and you can see that this sock has a row with, ever so often, with eyelets. I really like it. It's really simple. Once you get started, you can go, but on the first time I did it, you purl around, which I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but I purled all the way around this sock. All the way around. And then when I discovered, I thought, it's not going to bother me. And I haven't actually worn this because I wanted to show this to y'all on the podcast. And when I travel, my feet swell a little bit, and so I didn't want to put this on. But the other sock is finished as well, and it is the R2-D2 sock. I finished it today. This is part of why my show notes have changed so much. I wasn't through with this the other day by any means. But R2-D2, don't you just love the blues and grays in this? And there's some red. And I like the two blues in it. And this purple right here. You can barely see it because I'm not getting a good contrast, but that purple is great. These were fun socks to knit. And again, I did that purl all the way around. But that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I'm excited to wear these, but I wanted to show them to you before my fat legs stretched them out. So there you go. I called these this is the coffee your droids are looking for, because I did one of coffee with CC patterns. And this is a pair that's going to go into my knitting broomstick knit along for the whole book of CC's. Once this is finished, this will be my second pair, and then my first pair were my Wizard's Duel socks, my Harry Potter ones, because I did her vanilla cappuccino socks. So, yay, I'm really, really excited about getting these socks done and having more socks added to my collection and working along in the cow. Okay, let's see. So, I've talked about what I finished, what I'm working on. The things that are about to come up. As soon as I finish these minion slippers, I'm going to do the mittens. I'm also going to do the Hitafude, which I've talked about, so I'm not going to go into that. And while I was on my trip, which kind of blends into We Are Family a little bit, I went yarn shopping at some local yarn shops in Indianapolis and in the area around Indianapolis. And while I was at the little shop in Zionsville, I picked up a skein of yarn that came with a free pattern, and it's the Rana Shawl. I'm going to pull that up and show you because I really want to get this cast on. It's a very quick and easy little shawl. I had this pulled up, sorry. Rana? Here it is. It's got a mesh sections. And then, is it garter stitch sections, I believe? And it's a free pattern on Ravelry, Rana, R-A-Y-N-A. The pattern is by Nura Lavola's. It's from Nura Lavola in her Ravelry store. And this came with this yarn that I'll show you in a minute. But I really want to get this. I really want to get this done because it looks so cute, and I think it would be a really quick knit. Well, now that I've kind of crossed over Oh, yes, and the coffee date shawl, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes as well. Now that I've crossed over into Weir Family, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it some more. Yarn acquisitions. I've got several from the trip as well as some I got in the mail. I'm going to bring one back out that I showed you on the last podcast. Remember I told you that I won a gift card from Lolo Did It? Her name is Lauren, and she does some beautiful yarn. I won this gift card when I bought the pattern for the Breaking Bad shawl, and she had two different colorways. I didn't watch Breaking Bad, and I can't remember. The two main characters, I think, she named two different yarns after it, and so the person who designed the Breaking Bad shawl, y'all, I am so sorry. I'm so disorganized today. I don't remember who designed it. Once I bought the pattern, I was entered into a drawing, and I won the gift card. So I ordered the Blackberry Jam yarn, and I showed this to y'all last time. No. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's got these different shades of purples. It's got some red right here. It's got some black right there for the blackberry. And so this had come in just before I left for my trip, I believe, and I showed it to you on my last episode. Before I left, I actually used my gift card because I forgot to click on entering the gift card when I ordered the first time. And so before I left, I used the gift card, and I ordered another skein that would go with this, her Professor Plum. This is Professor Plum. Both of these are 75, right? 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. I don't know if you can see the sparkle in these. It's a very light sparkle. This isn't a super heavy sparkle, but it's definitely in there. But anyway, you can see how Blackberry Jam and Professor Plum go so well together. Just before I got on, she posted a picture of a shawl that someone had done out of these two, and I believe it was the Dowager Countess colorway that she has. Well, when I decided to do this, I'm doing the Coffee Date Shawl by Cece. See, I pulled that up as well, out of this yarn. And, yes, there it is. Here's the Coffee Date Shawl. I knew that I wanted to add a gray in here. For some reason, I've just been kind of hooked on gray lately. So I remembered when I got back from my trip that I had this. It's different. It's a merino silk, 70% merino, 30% silk, that I had bought at the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival, just, in April? So I'm going to put that together with Blackberry Jam and Professor Plum and this gray, and I think they're going to make an amazing color combo on this shawl. I'm really, really excited about this yarn. So these came in the mail while I was gone, and that's not the only thing that came in the mail. I also had ordered another skein from Lolo Did It. I've told y'all before that names get me, and she had one called Breakfast Club. And I mentioned it in the last podcast, and here it is. All the colors represent each of the characters in the book, and I know that the pink represented Molly Ringwald, the princess. But I've never gone back to look and see what each of the others, I think the, I can't remember now, I'm not going to say. But this yarn is amazing, and I saw it knitted up. This will probably be a pair of socks. But really, I hate to put Breakfast Club on my feet. I don't know. We'll see. I want to finish all the Coffee with CC patterns first, the Coffee with CC knit along, and then I'll decide what to do with these other beautiful, amazing yarns that are waiting for me. But anyway, Lolo Did It, Breakfast Club. She not only has amazing yarn, she has amazing customer service. She has a great personality, and that girl works. She put up a picture of some yarn she dyed the other day. Oh my goodness, there was a ton of it. Anyway, so on the trip, I had stopped at some yarn shops 2 years ago when we went. My favorite one that I've mentioned before, Groovy Girl Yarns, had closed down, I think, by January of 2015. So I knew I wasn't going to get to go there, and I was a little disappointed about that because I loved the shop and I loved Mandy, the girl who owned it. She went back to nursing. She just wasn't making enough money, and she could make more money nursing. So anyway, I showed y'all the first 2 skeins that I got at the Mass Avenue Knits in Indianapolis. This one is the one that was dyed up for their yarn crawl back in March, I believe they said it was. This is Selma in the Garden, which is based off of a painting, inspired from a painting by an Indiana artist named T.C. Steele. Selma was his wife. I looked him up, and she had a garden that she apparently loved. This is dyed by Knitted Wit. Yeah, it was February 26th to March 13th was when they had their yarn crawl. This is an 80/20 superwash merino and nylon on their Victory sock base. One of the ladies that was in there that day that I bought this was knitting and told me about this shawl that she knitted, and she used, I believe it was either a dark gray or a black, and used this to do the Celtic design in a shawl, and I cannot remember. This is beautiful. It's amazing, and the colors, as usual, are not showing up. They're a little bit more vibrant than this. Not bright. I mean, this is a very jewel tone. But anyway, I'm excited about this yarn. And Kim Marie, saw it and said, I will send you some money through PayPal if you will get me a skein of that. So I went back and got her a skein as well. And I showed y'all this neon sock yarn by Lana Grossa, I'm not sure how you say it, which I know you can get anywhere, but it's super bright neon, and I couldn't pass it up because I love neon socks. I love socks. I know y'all are shocked, but I do. So the next yarn shop, the next yarn shop I went to is in a little town called Zionsville, and I tried to stop there 2 years ago, but it was closed, even though it said it was open. But since I was there 2 years ago, it's been bought. The new owner's name is Mary Vaughn. She's great. She was very sweet, very helpful, very personable. Just asked, I told her we were from Texas, and she asked why we were there, and I said for the race. And she was just very, very neat. I really enjoyed my experience in her store. I wasn't sure what I wanted to get, but then she showed me that she had just gotten some Zen Yarn Garden, and when the distributor came through and showed it to her, there were free patterns that went with this yarn. This is an MCN, 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And the colorway, it's their Serenity yarn, and this is the Tranquility colorway. Now, blue is my favorite, as y'all know. I've said that a million times. I really prefer more like royal blue and darker blues, but this is just amazing. It's got some turquoise in it, and some light blue, and some darker turquoise, and even some hints of green. And, you're not getting the depth of color. This is some beautiful, beautiful yarn. And the pattern that I chose to go with it, because you got to pick your pattern, was Rana. I think I showed that to you just a minute ago, didn't I? I'm losing my mind. I'm not really sure. I told y'all this was going to be confusing. Nope, I didn't. It's the Rana. This is a pattern. Yeah, I did show it to you. I am so sorry. Anyway, so this is what I'm going to knit the Rana out of. And I can't wait. I really cannot wait to get started on it. I'm hoping to get the shawl for Kim knit up, the sampler, and get the minion stuff finished. and get this sucker on the needles as soon as possible. Okay, so that was Village Yarn Shop. Oh, and I forgot about her dog, Papi. Papi, I guess, was a miniature greyhound. I'm not really sure. And she was curled up in her little bed when we got there. And my son went over and talked to her and patted her, and she got up and started following him around the store, but she was very laid back and sweet, beautiful, very short-haired dog. Just that experience was wonderful, and I will definitely go back to Village Yarns next time I'm in Indiana. The next yarn shop that I went to was Broad Ripple, and I've been there before as well. It's a great yarn shop. They're super friendly and super helpful, but for some reason, nothing just spoke to me that day. I'm not really sure why. Just don't know. I'm not sure. So I ended up not getting anything. I felt kind of bad, but I found a couple of things, but they were, like I said, they just weren't really calling to me. So there was one other yarn shop, and I thought, well, we really didn't have time that day. We were going all over the place. We went to a Barnes & Noble and just kind of hung out for a while, and we ate at this neat little place called Broad Ripple. It was a little pub, and they had great food. Oh, well, what was so neat, I forgot about this. A couple of days later, we were at the track. Maybe it was the next day. I can't remember. Yeah, it was. It was the next day. And it was very hot. And the sun, we were sitting under a kind of covered area, but where the sun was shining, it was hitting us. So I just told my husband and son that I was going to go back down until the sun moved, because I didn't want to get burned that day, and or any day, but you know what I mean. I wasn't completely prepared because I thought we were going to be covered. So while I was standing down waiting for the sun to move, somebody said, "Hey, how are you?" And I looked up, and it was our waiter from that little pub. He remembered me, and he spoke to me. He was a really nice guy. You know, our experience in Indiana, and I said this in the last one, was just really, really wonderful. My husband wants to live there again. And I'm tired of Houston. I love my friends here. And I don't know if I could leave Texas and my family and my friends behind. But I could definitely see myself living in Indiana. But that's not fixing to happen. So, anyway, so the next day, that Saturday, was the day before the race, and I'm going to talk about all the race and stuff later. But our friend flew in to meet us. I think I told you that on the last one, and I was going to pick him up. So my husband just suggested that I take him and my son to the track and drop them off. And then I could kind of go around and do some things that day that I wanted to do. I mean, I'm fine hanging out at the track. My husband loves it, and he does so much to take care of us. And I really do enjoy myself out there. It just gets really hot and tiring because I'm just not an outdoors girl. So I went ahead and dropped him off. And the first thing I did was go get my car washed, because I really like keeping my car clean and neat, and it had gotten pretty dirty on the trip. And then I went close to where the airport was, where my friend was going to be, and I had coffee and knitted and watched podcasts. I watched The Knitting Broomstick and The Geeky Girls, because I'm trying to catch up on Knitting Broomstick. And after I had been sitting there for a while knitting, I decided, because I was real close to Nomed Yarns in Plainfield, Indiana, which is real close to the airport, I had wanted to go there and didn't think I was going to get a chance, but I went that day. When I drove up to it, it's in this big old house, 2-story house, and it's owned by a young couple. I think I wrote it down. Yes, Dave and Erica. He's British. He knits and she knits, and they have a little baby that I think they said she was 4 months old, and they designed their own patterns. And I walked around and looked, and I found some things that I was interested in. But you know, when you're on vacation, a lot of times you want to try to find something you can't find other places. And I mean, like I said, I know that I could get this anywhere, but it was neon. And I could probably get Zen Yarn Garden somewhere, but I haven't really seen that. So I thought, you know, I'd get this. But the yarn that I found at Nomad Yarns in Plainfield was called Indie Steps from a company, an Indiana-based company called Good For You, EWE. And they dye this yarn based on things around them. This one is called Flowers for Nomads, for Nomad Yarns, because they have some flowers out front. And so this is kind of a peachy color. I don't really like peach, but there's not a whole lot of it. Pink, greens, kind of a purplies. Anyway, so this is based on their flowers. And this yarn is, fingering weight is 414 yards. It's a 40% merino, 40% baby llama, and 20% nylon. So this might become socks. I'm really not sure. But anyway, it's from Indianapolis. They're from Indianapolis. So I thought that was really neat. But the same one, this Indie Steps, Good For You yarn Indie Steps, had dyed another one called Allisonville Green. And this has shades of like of light greens in it. I just thought this was beautiful. So I got these two, and that's what I got there. When we were in Kokomo, visiting our friends, I had to stop. I don't have enough size 7 needles to knit a project, and I needed some size 7s to knit up the rest of the minion stuff, and I really thought I was going to work on it on the trip. So I got some little DPNs while I was at Hobby Lobby in Kokomo, and then I found this Red Heart, Heart and Soul, and there's a coffee cozy that I didn't pull up. I don't know why I'm so disorganized today, y'all. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I'd been looking at this little coffee cozy for like your Starbucks mug cups. And it's in a variegated yarn. So when I get a chance, I'm going to knit this into that. And again, this was just because I was in Hobby Lobby. I know I can get this here. But actually, you know, I always overestimate, and I'm sure most knitters overestimate what they can get done. But then when that one time you underestimate, you think, oh no, I'm not going to let this happen again. So I thought, you know, if I ran out of everything else, I could always knit myself this little coffee cup cozy. Another thing that I bought, I forgot about this while I was at Village Yarn, were some circular needles for my coffee date shawl. And they're gone. I don't even know if I pulled them out of the package at all. They were size 3s. I think they were like a 36 or 40 inch. I can't remember. And I lost them. I'm pretty upset about it. They weren't super expensive or anything, but you know, I hate to waste money like that. If they'd broken or something, that would be different, but I lost them. Oh, you know what? I haven't looked in my... Yeah, I'll go back and look in my suitcase. It's possible. I don't know why I would have put it in my suitcase because I had yarn bags with me, but I might check and see. Anyway, if I find them, I'll show them next time. So I guess that was really all I had to talk about as far as my Indiana yarn crawl and my new acquisitions. That is a lot of yarn. A lot of new yarn. But it will get knitted, and I do love it. I appreciate all the yarn. I don't look at my yarn and think, ugh. You know, I've already had this for a couple of years. I'm not going to use it. Because I am. As a matter of fact, I got some as a gift from my mom several years ago, and I had asked her to get it. Hang on, let me see if I can find this. It should be right here. Well... Some sock yarn that I'm going to use to knit a pair of socks, probably the pumpkin spice socks from CC. And they're brown. It's a brown one and a blue one. It was supposed to look like coffee beans, but I just never did those. I might eventually. It's an intarsia pattern, I think. No. Yeah, maybe it's an intarsia pattern, and the coffee beans are knit into it. And they're really cute socks, but I want to get this Coffee with CC knit along. I want to be able to finish this, and I think those would be really pretty knit up in this brown and blue. So, like I said, I might have some stash, but it's going to get used, and it's not like I buy it and then leave it on the shelf and forget about it, because I come back like this. My campsite, I'd had this yarn for 2 years, and I discovered that it was just the perfect yarn for this shawl. So it'll all get used. Well, my We Are Family kind of ran into 1 week. But there's one little thing I need to insert in here before I go into 1 week. And that is things that make you go, And maybe I should put this at the beginning or move it somewhere else because it kind of gets buried and I almost forget it because it's between We Are Family and 1 week, which, like I said, runs together sometimes. This week are things that make you go, is cake, a yarn cake. I'm sure most of you know what a yarn cake is, but just in case you're a newer knitter or you've just never heard the term, this is a hank of yarn. This has to be made into a cake. And you can do it one of several ways. You can have someone hold it. You can put it on chair legs, turn your chair upside down and put it on the chair legs, or even chair back, and then you wind it off. But you can't knit straight from this because it will tangle. People have tried. They've gotten impatient. They've been away from home, and they're like, I'm ready to start this now. And they won't have their tools that they need to turn it into a cake or a ball, and so they start knitting, and then it's a disaster. This is a skein. This is also not a cake, but this and this and this are all cakes. I am fortunate enough to have a ball winder, and I knew I was going to do this. For some reason, I have a mental block about this thing. Anyway, an umbrella swift is what I was thinking, but I don't have an umbrella one. I'm fortunate enough to have a swift and ball winder so that I can cake up my own yarn. So, cake, that's the thing that makes you go, this time. And really, no calories, sheer enjoyment. What better cake could you ask for? Anyway, 1 week. So, as I've mentioned about 1,000 times, we were in Indianapolis and around Indiana. And the last time I recorded, we were in a town, I believe they still live in Galveston, Indiana. So while we were there, we got to do a few things with our friends. Their youngest daughter is in choir, and she had her year-end choir concert, so we got to go to that. Their oldest daughter just graduated with her bachelor's degree from college, and so she was home. And their middle daughter was a week from her high school graduation. We love them so much, and we love spending time with them, and I'm very thankful that we got to be there with them. During the middle of the week that we were there, 2 days after our last podcast, we went to the zoo. And their oldest daughter is trying to get into a master's program and also an internship at the same time. She's an athletic trainer. So she had been applying and working on some things that she needed to get done for that. But we asked her if she wanted to go to the zoo with us, and she said yes. So we went to the Indianapolis Zoo for the day. Oh my goodness, I love the zoo so much. I took a gazillion pictures. We got to see my favorite things, flamingos. I love flamingos. I spent way too much time looking at them. They had a neat bird section, and you could go in, and some of the birds flew around, and different types of birds. I can't even remember what they had now. Of course, there was the Reptile House. I touched a shark. I'm deathly afraid of sharks, and guess what? I still am. But these were very docile. I don't know what they were. They were very small. It probably said, but I was so freaked out about actually touching one that I didn't even notice. And Holly, the girl that went with us, our sweet friend Holly, got a couple of pictures of me touching them. Yeah, it was fun. That was a little bit freaky. We went to the orangutan house, and you go up into it, and you can look down on them. It's glass, surrounded by glass, and they'll climb up all over the place, and they'll interact through the windows. They are the funniest things. But after we were in the orangutan house, we were sitting there eating our lunch, and we looked up, and they have this car that you can get in. It goes up on these rails and goes around, not the whole zoo, but just around this small area. And we looked up, and one of the orangutans is holding on to one of the wires and standing on the other and walking around. And we were like, is that thing supposed to be out? And I heard people around us talking, and one person said, it's not supposed to be out. And somebody else said, yeah, it's supposed to be out. But we finally saw some people that worked there, and they said, oh, yeah, they get out and do that all the time. And I thought, well, that's kind of crazy. But, I mean, he just stayed up there on the wires, and I got some pictures. I even got a little video of it. It was hilarious to watch. What else did we see that day? Oh, a stork. I'm sure there are different kinds of storks. I'm not a stork aficionado or anything, but this particular stork was really big and really ugly. So if that's the kind of storks that deliver babies, ooh, those babies are scarred for life. But anyway, we had a lot of fun at the zoo that day, and we got to see a lot of amazing animals, and Holly and I just ate it up because both of us love the zoo, so that was great. Friday, the 2 days before the actual Indy 500 was Carb Day. They have a little race. I think it's Indy Lights race, which was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a photo finish. Those cars crossed the line, just one barely in front of the other. I could not believe how close that race was. It was a lot of fun. They also have the pit crew competition, where the pit crews, the drivers take off, and then the pit crew, I think, changes the tires or something, and the driver takes off again, and whoever crosses the finish line, it's a very short distance. Whoever finishes first, I haven't done it yet, then they go on to the next round, and they go on until the last car has won, and then that pit crew gets a check to split. So it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's fun for the pit crews, and then they get some extra money out of it. That day, at the end of the day, included in our ticket was a concert to see Journey. Now, Steve Perry, I love. And this new guy, I'm sure he's great, but he's not Steve Perry. He might sound like him. But anyway, I was looking forward to the concert. But it was so hot. So hot. And as we walked over there at the end of the day, there were just millions of people, it felt like. And when we got there, we couldn't get past a certain point. You had to have certain kind of tickets, VIP tickets, to get up, not close to the stage even, way back from the stage, but you just couldn't get past a certain point. So we were all tired. We were all hot. And I said, I know what, there's a big screen over way back. I said, let's go sit in front of the big screen, and we'll be able to hear it, and then we can see them. So we sat down on the grass, and we started looking around at the people around us, and they were iffy at best. And we were watching the opening act, and suddenly I realized we can't hear a thing, not a single thing, not a note. We couldn't hear a thing. And we were sitting on the grass, sweating, not really wanting to get caught up in the crowd, because it was a crazy crowd. And everybody thought I really, really wanted to be there, which I did, but honestly, at that point, I was kind of over it. I said, well, I don't really care if we stay or go. And my husband said, well, I don't really either. And my son said, me either. And I said, let's go. So we went back to the hotel, and we all laid down and took a nap, I think, because we were just so worn out. And then my husband, my sweet husband, and my sweet older son got up and went across the parking lot. We pre-ordered some food from Cracker Barrel, and they brought it back, and we just ate in the room and took it easy that night. And then the next day was Saturday, the day I got to go to, what did I say that night? Nomad Yarn, and pick up our friend Mickey. And they got autographs that day. Several drivers' autographs. But my dad has always been a Bobby Rahal fan, and now he's a Graham Rahal fan. So my husband got him a Graham Rahal t-shirt for Father's Day, as well as an autograph from Bobby Rahal and Graham Rahal. Now, I would show you all these things, but we sent him home with Dad for an early Father's Day gift. He was so happy about them, and I'm really, really glad we were able to do that for him. And then Sunday, we got up early Sunday morning, and we went to worship. There's a little congregation real close to the track that we go to. On race day, they meet really early because of all the traffic. As a matter of fact, our friend Holly that lives in Kokomo, around Kokomo, she and her boyfriend were going to meet us there because he lives in Indianapolis. And they couldn't even get there at all because of the traffic. I mean, it gets insane. But anyway, so we went to worship, and we went straight from there to the track. And we got there probably at least 2 hours before the race started. My husband knows Indianapolis, and he kind of knows how to get there. And we really did not hit much traffic at all till we did finally hit some, but we were able to kind of get in there. You know what I mean? So, it's a pretty long walk. It's a pretty long walk up to the track, and we took pictures this year because last year, at the end of the race, we couldn't find our car. And it was kind of scary because we flew last year, and we were looking for the car that we had to return to the rental booth and then get to our flight. But this year, we all took pictures and took mental notes of where we were so that when we got out, we could go straight to the car. And we did. We went straight to the car. But we got out there, and this year we didn't have covered seating. And it's only like 82, 83 degrees. And, I mean, coming from Texas, that's really not that big of a deal. I personally don't like it because, like I've said a million times, I don't like the heat. I don't like outside. I don't like summer. But, that's really tolerable for me. But when you go up and sit in those aluminum bleachers, and we had 350,000 of our closest friends around us. Yeah, it was insanely hot. Sweat. It was disgusting and gross. And I just thought, man, I'm not sure. I bought a visor because a hat really pushes down on my ears, and I don't look good. But last time I got a horrible sunburn. Not last year, but 2 years ago when we were not covered. And it was awful. My face swelled up and everything. So this year I decided to get a visor, and I bought one. I found a cheap one at Walmart, and the only thing that got a little bit burned was right here on my part, and it's been itching and peeling. And I know a sunburn is never good, but compared to what it was 2 years ago, it wasn't bad. But the thing that was so neat was this woman behind me had brought a cooler and a big roll of paper towels, and inside the cooler she had some ice and water. It was a small cooler, like you could put a 6-pack of Cokes in or something. And she said, "Oh, would you like for me to give you some paper towels dipped in this ice water?" I said, "Yes, that would be amazing." She kept me with cold paper towels around my neck the whole race. I was so grateful to her because I was getting miserable. And the race was a lot of fun, but I think I was hotter than I've ever been this year. And my son went down, and then a while later our friend Mickey went down because they couldn't stand the heat, and Mickey plays golf outside all summer. But I didn't want to have to crawl over people, and honestly, I didn't want to have to leave Chuck up there in the stands. But it was a nice race. It was a really good, exciting race. TK didn't win again, but I did get a TK shirt. Unfortunately, I didn't think about that today, and I didn't wear it. But overall, it was an amazing trip, and I'm looking forward to us going back again next year. So I'll have more yarn to talk about when I go back to the yarn shops there. And I have a feeling that sometime between now and next year, I might have some yarn to talk about too. Anyway, oh yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to show y'all. My husband, Father's Day is coming up next week. We decided to order him this really nice lightsaber for Father's Day, and it came in today. And so I decided I was going to show y'all. We got him the blue one. Oh, he's coming. Let me show you real fast. Ooh. Okay, I can't leave it on. He's coming in. So we're going to get to give that to him in a few days. We're really, really excited about it. Anyway, I guess that's all I had this time. So until next time, knit on.